King of heaven, come down. King of heaven, come down. Let your glory reign, shining like the day. King of heaven, come. King of heaven, rise up. Who can stand against us? You are strong to save in your mighty name. King of heaven, come. You are strong. You are strong to save in your mighty name. King of heaven, come. You are strong to save in your mighty name. King of heaven, come. Do you feel the world is broken?
We do.
Do you feel the shadows deepen?
We do.
Do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through? We do. Do you wish that you could see it all made new? We do. You saw creation groaning. It is a new creation coming. It is the glory of the Lord to be a light within our midst. It is it good that we remind ourselves of this? It is. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is. Does the Father truly love us? He does. Does the Spirit move among us? He does. And does Jesus, our Messiah, hold forever those he loves? He does. And does God intend to dwell again with us? He does. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. From every people and tribe, every nation and tongue, he has made us a kingdom and praise to God to reign with the Son. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of a blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy? Is he worthy? Is he worthy of this? He is. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slain. From every people and tribe, every nation and tongue, He has made us a kingdom and praise to God to reign with the Son. Is He worthy? Is He worthy of a blessing and honor and glory? Is He worthy? Is He worthy? Is He worthy of it? He is. Is He worthy? Is He worthy? He is. He is worthy. He is worthy. He God, thank you that you are worthy of all the glory, all the honor, all the praise. Thank you that you are here with us, Lord. Amen. You may be seated. I just wanted to share, to be honest, from my heart a little bit. I've been here 8 years, and it has been great years. I'm not leaving. Sorry, that might sound like that to somebody. I'm not saying anything like that. I am very grateful for the many, many, many volunteers that have served here, many of which I've got the joy to watch from a distance, and many of which I've got the joy to serve alongside of. And so for those 8 years, and I was doing some math yesterday, and 27 years before those 8 years, I have had the honor of being a part of communities similar to this, and being a part of worship teams. And in moments where we sound all right, I am very grateful for those people at the back that make that happen. And so very pointed and very direct, especially to the tech teams this morning, but to worship teams as a whole. I am incredibly, incredibly grateful. Many people you'll see will serve multiple times a month. Our heart's desire is that we have people serving with their availability, not just based on our needs. And there are some, including my own kids, who serve multiple times a month in different roles in the back in the tech. And there is a huge, huge need. To be blunt, coming out of COVID, we needed, to run a whole lot more, and we have continued to run that
because we are reaching people online that we never reached before. People are reaching out saying, I want to be baptized. People are commenting regularly every week. We're saying hello, and we're responding back to them because we have an attendance online that averages a significant number, often 30, 40 of short of what is in the room. And if you're looking at those numbers, don't look at today's numbers today, because YouTube takes 24 plus, sometimes even more than that, hours for those to actualize. And people watch the sermons, and then they're up there forever. And so, those views online are significant. Well over 100 views and a week. And that's significant. That's part of our church that's online, and we want to grow that. We want to reach more people. But primarily, we look to get tech things taken care of in-house so that we can do that. Prior to COVID, we had a wealth of sound people. Some of them were here for almost 2 decades. And coming out of COVID, we've had to change and shift and use some resources to be able to fill needs that we had. And very grateful that we have a community that has been able to do that. But my challenge literally to you now is, if you are musical, maybe you just love music, maybe you just collect records, maybe you like making mixtapes or playlists. If you love music, even if you're not super technical, we could train you and develop you into being a sound person. We have a great training room for that in the back. It's just our live stream mixing room, and it's less intimidating. We could train you a little bit how to run sound and then how to run both soundboards. That is a huge need in this community. We've had 2 of the previous 5 people come back and learn and run sound in this room. And so we have a shortage. And on a good, fully functioning running Sunday, not only do we need a sound person in this room, but we need a sound person for the online so that we can have drums. Obviously, we need more musicians and more drummers to be able to fill out the band every week, but sound is a massive, massive, huge need. In the shift of broadcast role and no longer having a professional in-house to help us with that, there's some young people that have stepped into that role, as well as some people that are capable of maybe being on the worship team, but we need them in a tech booth in order to keep the online community alive and going. And so they would love to be involved in worship, but they're worshiping from running the live broadcast. So we need people in the broadcast seat as well. And none of this stuff sounds easy. Some of it is not easy, but we have people in place to train you, and they're not going to push you off a cliff and say, have fun. They're going to journey beside you until you are comfortable and until you are ready. And the moment that we just had, just a few moments ago, they can all be really awry. God can still show up and do stuff, but maybe there's a squeal in the sound system or something, and it throws everybody off and distracts everybody. And so our sound people, our lighting people, our video people, they're so incredibly important to what God has called us to do here, what God has called us to be as a community. And so it is so, so important that we have some people step up. We're ready to train in a couple of these positions, starting right away. And we need you. And so I'm not begging. I am declaring that we need you. And I am assuming that God is going to speak to some of you and about stepping up. And maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable. I understand. And there is some roles within the tech area where if you are not super tech inclined, or maybe you're not ready to take on something like programming a lot or running or mixing live sound, but there's other areas where you're like, yeah, I can do something. I've been here a while. I've been keeping a seat warm. I want to contribute. And so we want you to move from just that into being actively involved if you're not. We have a lot of people that serve in a lot of areas in the church, and so I'm not necessarily speaking to you this morning. I'm speaking to the other portion. And if you're new here, please forgive me. I've never done this in 8 years, really. I can't remember doing an ask like this. But we really need you to step into it. And we want to have beautiful moments, time with God in worship, like we just did a few moments ago. And you can be a part of facilitating that and setting the table, is what I like to call it, for God to come and move in our community. And so, so if you can pray about that, you could talk to me afterwards. You can also go say hi to somebody in the back in the tech booth and say, hey, what do you do back here? And thank them as often as you see them, because they don't want to be invisible. Yes, they might wear black and might want to be invisible if Steve's mic fails and they sneak up on the stage, but they're human, and they're serving, and many of them are serving many hours, doing programming and rearranging and doing things, not on Sunday mornings and earlier in the week or other times, late at night, different times and locations. And so many of them, spend time in this room alone or time with me. So really pray for them because that could be a journey for some of them, I'm sure. But I just want to reiterate, I'm very grateful for the team that we have. They're not letting me down. They're my superheroes. I've said that before in meetings, but we really need some more people to step up into this role, and because there's some really big needs. And I believe that if we do it right, and God shows up and blesses the work of our hands, and we just continue to step by step follow him, we will get to that place where we can be that community of ordinary people with lives transformed by the extraordinary love of Christ. And in turn, then we can reflect that in our communities, in our workspace, and to each other, and everywhere we go. So thank you so much for your ear. Probably took a little longer than Steve wanted. Steve, I probably just stole 3 minutes from you, easily 3 minutes, maybe 5, but I know you can handle it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. A good reminder. Thank you very much for those of you who serve in the back and really throughout the church. The volunteers here have just been amazing whether you're serving with the kids and out front and the greeting and welcoming. Just really, really appreciate that. So thanks for that reminder, Curtis. I also want to just say congratulations, Bob Evans over here is just turned 90 2 days ago. That's a pretty big milestone, isn't it? 90 years old? Wow. 90 years. Amazing. And I got a picture to show you. I guess you see this picture up here. And it's a good picture, a guy praying there at the computer. But what really caught my attention was the caption that they'd put with it. And this is what the caption said. Unbeliever converted to Christianity after seeing Christians bicker with each other online. I thought, yeah, right. Can you imagine that happening? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if it did happen? Like, wow. I also heard the story this week of the airline, the Boeing 747 that was flying over Portland. Maybe you heard the story, and it had a blowout. Did you hear about that one on the news? That has nothing to do with the baby in its diaper on the plane having a blowout. No, it was actually a panel, I guess a door that blew off and fell and landed in a guy's backyard in Portland. And they got the panel, and they were trying to figure out what on earth had happened. Like, how does a door fly off of an airplane? Unfortunately, no one was killed. There was some minor injuries, but no one was killed. There were 171 people on board, so we're thankful for that. But we wonder what happened. How did how did they come loose? And I heard two Christians talking about it. And one of the Christians kind of said, well, it was probably because nobody prayed before the plane took off. And people laughed. And the other guy said, that's ridiculous. That's probably because someone had unconfessed sin in their life. No, we have sometimes these things that happen, and we wonder what's the cause of it, and what happened here, and is there something behind this that I don't understand? I mean, anything's possible, right? But there's certain things that are not very probable. Anyway, so all that to say, I want to get into what we're talking about in this series, and it's called Times of Transition, Times of Change. And I'm focusing on a period of history, 3,100 years ago, in which there was a lot of changing going on in the society, and I thought that parallels our world, because nothing is changing as rapidly as what's going on in our world these days. Things are changing in economics and business and family life. It's just changes, so many changes rapidly hitting our world. And so I wondered, if we look back at a time of change when there was a lot of changes in the Bible, if there's some things that God taught those people back then that we can learn today and that we could use in our own daily lives. And last week I introduced you to a site that I visited last summer called Shiloh. Today it's nothing but a pile of ruins and rocks, but it was quite fascinating when I was there. Not only did I learn that this is one of the most highly excavated places in the world. There are a lot of archaeology is going on here, and it's like, well, why? What's so significant about Shiloh? And as I mentioned last week, that the temple or the tabernacle, when they sort of the movable temple, or they call it the tabernacle, that came out of that was built in the wilderness and came up into the land, and they moved the tabernacle, the place of worshiping God, and it sat here at Shiloh for 369 years. That's almost as long as the temple sat on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And there's so much significance about that, site. And yet, here's a site where the Ark of God, the presence of God, rested for 369 years. But the thing that I really found fascinating, as I mentioned last week, was the hills in the background. They were all terraced. They were all cut and terraced. On the other side of the mountain is just regular rocks and slopes. But on the side facing Shiloh, they were all terraced, so that if you fell asleep there, you could sleep on the side of the slope without rolling down the hill at night. Which meant people would camp there. They would come to the area, and they would camp there, and then go to the temple or the tabernacle and worship, and then they would head home. And so the other thing I thought, because there's a lot of pottery, they said 3,000-year-old pottery all over that hillside, I thought to myself, well, people came and they camped there for some time because of something very significant that happened. They could see the tabernacle of God. And it made me wonder, because that tabernacle was directed by a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire right at night, and the glory of the Lord was obvious. And it led them to this place, and they stopped here, and I wonder how long that lasted. We're not told. But we know that near the end of that 369 years, they're still talking about the glory of the Lord in that temple and at that ark. And I wonder if people sat out on that mountain and looked over at the tabernacle and saw the glory of God and were just amazed. And they camped out there. And so it's a significant spot. Now, as I was looking at it, last week we talked about the transition from a priest named Eli, who was the priest in Shiloh, overseeing the tabernacle. And he had his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. But there was a change, because there was an end to that priesthood coming, and it'll take place today. And then a prophet was introduced, the birth of a young boy named Samuel, whom God started speaking to. And last week, we just talked about some things that we could learn about a priesthood who was just going through the religious motions. And that transition that God wanted to see of people who are listening to and obeying God's word. See, that's what God wants in our hearts and our lives. Not just people who are doing the religious thing or showing up to church, but people who are serious about their faith and who listen to God's word, read God's word and obey it. And that's what Samuel did. So last week, the story, let me just outline what we talked about last week. You can go back and listen to it online if you missed it. But we talked about the miraculous birth of Samuel. Samuel then was dedicated to God as a young boy. We talked about Hannah's prayer and Eli's godless sons. And then the Lord calls Samuel. I also encourage you to read 1 Samuel chapters 1 to 3 last week. Don't know if you're able to do it, but this week you can add the next 3, verses 4 to 6. And it'd be good for you, because I'm going very quickly through it, and this is a great passage. This is one of my favorite stories that we're going to cover today, so I'm quite excited about it. So let's get into it. In chapter 4, and Israel is having some neighbor issues with a group called the Philistines who lived on the coast. It says, now the Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines. And Israel camped at Ebenezer, and the Philistines at Aphek. The Philistines deployed their forces to meet Israel, and as the battle spread, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 of them on the battlefield. That's significant. 4,000 Israelis died on the battlefield that day. I mean, this is a full-scale war with heavy losses. Let me just put a map up so you can kind of see some of that area. So this is, again, back in Samuel's day, over 3,000 years ago. Jerusalem didn't even exist. It was called Jebus. You see it in the middle, just across from the top of the Dead Sea there, the body of water. That was Jerusalem. Eventually became Jerusalem. But this time it's called Jebus. And then about 35 kilometers as the crow flies would be the town of Shiloh that I just talked about. They traveled east and came to Aphek, and that's where or Ebenezer, the Israelites met in a place called Ebenezer, and across the valley there was the Philistines, and that's where the battle took place. You can see in the Philistines area, they controlled the sea area, some of the best lands. The Israelites had come in and settled mostly the hill country when they came into the land of Canaan. The Philistines were very strong. They had iron and iron weapons. They had iron swords and iron spears and shields, where the Israelites did not. They had not mastered iron at that time. And so they were at a severe disadvantage when it came to warfare. And so these Philistines continued to stay there on the coast. They were also a very wicked and immoral group, and constantly were attacking the Jews across the border, stealing their crops, and it became very difficult. Anyway, so it came about, this war came about. And you can see some of the names of the cities there. There's 5 major cities that the Philistines were known for. There was Aphek in the north, and Ashdod, Gath, Ekron, and the one off the map you can't see is Toronto. No, I'm just kidding. It was Gaza was the 4th one. But wicked cities that was a really difficult time for the Israelites to be neighbors to those people. and then let's move on into the story. Verse 3. When the soldiers returned to camp after the heavy losses, the elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord bring defeat on us today before the Philistines?" I mean, why? Where was God when we needed him? You ever ask that question? God, you seem absent. We needed you big time today, and you didn't come through for us. We've taken heavy losses here. You ever had a time in your life, maybe some of you are facing it now, when God seems absent, and you wonder why? Why didn't you answer that prayer? Why didn't you come through? Why didn't you heal? And that was the question they were asked. That's how they're feeling after experiencing this defeat. And so they come up with a plan, and the next part of the verse says, "Let us bring the ark of the Lord's covenant from Shiloh, so that he may go with us and save us from the hand of our enemies." This is like our secret weapon, the ark of God. It's a box that was overlaid with gold. You remember what was in the box? There was Aaron's rod that budded. Aaron was the first priest, Moses' brother. Then you've got the jar of manna and the law of God that Moses wrote. All in the and then on top there's the 2 cherubim, 2 angels, and then the glory of the Lord kind of shone in the middle of it. And this was like a symbol of God's presence with them, the ark. This shows that God is there with us. It's a reminder of it wasn't God. They didn't make gods or idols. That was forbidden. But there was this reminder that God was with us and his presence was with us. And that's what the ark was for them. And they had this feeling it was powerful. Sort of like Indiana Jones, right? And this nuclear weapon almost, take out Nazis with it. You know, if we had, and they almost had that view that it would help us in war. And so they said, let's bring that to the battlefield with us. And because we can't keep living like this. They keep, taking our crops and we're starving. We got to do something. So they say, let's take the box, let's take the ark down to the battlefield. But the problem is they have this God in a box mentality. It's like, God, if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. Or God, if I do this, then you will come through, right? I mean, the problem with that kind of thinking is that the God that we serve becomes the God who serves us, right? And we got it backwards. Because what if God is not so tame? And what if God can't be manipulated? And what if God is so big, so strong, so free, so unpredictable, he can't be put in a box? And yet many people have this God in a box mentality. God, you just got to take God with me so that good things happen. Anyway, the people have this, and this is kind of their thinking. And so, in the next verse goes on and says, so the people sent men to Shiloh, and they brought back the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim on the top of the Ark. And Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the Ark of the Covenant of God. They were serving as priests, and so they're going along with the Ark. And we found out last week, as I pointed out, that these two were very wicked young men. Anyway, it says the Ark, in verse 5, when the Ark of the Lord's covenant came into the camp, all Israel raised such a great shout that the ground shook. The ark, 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 Israel, for the ark of God has been captured. Now, there is something that has been repeated over and over. I imagine you saw it. The phrase, the ark was captured, 6 times. Over and over. The ark's been captured. It's gone. In the English, when we want to say the opposite of something or indicate the opposite, like we'll add an A in front of it. Like, for example, when we use a theist as a person who believes in God, but we put an A in front of it, it's an atheist, means a person who doesn't believe in God. In Hebrew, they put an I in front of it. So when you put an I in front of kabod and make it Ichabod, you're making it the opposite, because kabod means glory. It's the Hebrew word for glory. Ichabod means the glory of God has gone. The glory of God is gone. And it was significant. It led to a feeling of disillusionment. Like, oh no, God is gone. He's left us. God is too weak. Their whole belief system crashed. They started deconstructing and thinking, wow, Moses, was he real? Maybe he was just some dreamer. Maybe the stories of Abraham and Isaac and all God did for them, maybe that was all just an illusion, a fairy tale. Because they talked about how God came through them, for them, but God sure hasn't come through for us. Maybe God isn't real. Maybe God isn't there. Or maybe he doesn't care anymore. And that disillusionment and that hopelessness led to the belief that God was gone and had left them. And maybe you felt this way, maybe through a loss of a loved one, or maybe a health issue that you've dealt with, or maybe a crisis that you've faced, and you've felt that before. You know, at some point in your life, most everybody goes through that. You'll feel that. You feel that hopelessness. And what do I do? I had a small group a couple of years ago, and I remember one of the ladies in the group said that her daughter was no longer following the Lord. And I said, well, why? Why did she choose not to anymore? And she said, well, because something happened and God didn't come through for her, and so she walked away from it all. I thought, yeah, that happens for many people. They just walked away. God wasn't there for them. And they felt God wasn't maybe even there. Anyways, we go into the next. Things are pretty hopeless. The end of chapter 4. So let's move on into chapter 5. After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Okay, that's the first city. Ebenezer was the Israelite city. They captured it there, took it to Ashdod. And when the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, they carried the ark to Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. Dagon was the god of the Philistines. And so they took that ark and they placed it right there at the feet of Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. Like, what? How did that happen? They took Dagon and put him back in his place. Right? They propped him up. And no doubt the celebrations were continuing. They defeated the Israelites, and their god Dagon was greater, and so the parade or with the celebrations likely continued. But then something happened again the next morning. In verse 4 says that when they rose, there was Dagon fallen before the ark of the Lord. His head and his hands had broken off and were lying on the threshold. Only his body remained. Just a stump of him left. You know, the first day it felt like a horrible defeat. And the next day, they didn't see what was happening. The Israelites couldn't see what was happening, but God was at work. And then the third day, Dagon, the god, the all-powerful God. I mean, these were the guys who had iron. These are the guys who looked like they had everything, and they were the strongest, and all of a sudden their God is broken to pieces. And then disease, affliction breaks out. It says in verse 6, the Lord's hand was heavy on the people of Ashdod and its vicinity. He brought devastation on them and afflicted them with tumors. That was a nice way the NIV put it, because if you know the King James Version or the NASB or the others, they called it hemorrhoids. And if you don't know what hemorrhoids are, just say it this way, if you have hemorrhoids, it becomes very hard to sit down. And you wonder, well, so this is a nice way of putting it. They afflicted them with tumors. But these people, they had iron. They were, a more developed society, and they looked invincible. But now,